What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Trippy and we're back with another Naruto video. It's been a while since I've looked into a Naruto theory and I think I found a pretty good one. So this theory's premise is basically that every member of the Akatsuki represents a motivation for war. So yeah, sit back, grab your popcorn, and we'll just get into this theory. Let's start out with Sasori and Dedera. Both are artists in their own right, but look at art differently. Sasori uses puppets that have different weapons and are consistently able to change depending on who they fight. Sasori has so many strong puppets that he's created using the dead that, he functions as pretty much a walking army by himself. Whereas Dedera likes quick explosions created by his clay that he molds with his chakra. He can essentially make walking bombs and still functions as like a one-man army, just with a different approach. Both of these ninjas represent the need for political change. Dedera can be seen as a radical rebel group, as many in the real world have used bombs to incite fear to take control, whereas Sasori represents the other half of that political spectrum, such as a monolithic government that benefits himself. These are kind of reaches, that's why I talked about them first, but still a good comparison to be drawn. The other members are far more concrete in what they represent, such as Kakazu. His motivations is purely monetary gain. The only reason he joined the Akatsuki was because he would have more opportunities to kill people listed in the bingo book, therefore making him more money. And if you didn't know already, money is a huge reason for a lot of wars. It's a pretty clear comparison, and I'd say is one of the better parts of this theory. The next member is Hidan, who unsurprisingly represents religion. His motivation for joining the Akatsuki as well was just so he could sacrifice more people to his god Jashin, who, if you haven't seen my other video already, may be an Otsutsuki. You should check out the other video. But yeah, anyways, religion is a huge part of many big wars that were fought in the past, and some wars that continue to be fought to this day. Again, a pretty clear comparison relating Hidan to a representation of war. Next up is Itachi, who represents patriotism. His whole character is him suffering to protect his own country. He was put in a weird position where he had to pick his clan or his village, and as we know, he chose the village and slaughtered his own clan overnight with the motivation of protecting children from being caught in a civil war, more specifically his little brother, Sasuke. There are many examples of a group being mistreated by a more powerful government, and Itachi's representation of patriotism is kind of on the nose. Up next is Kisame, and he represents exposing inequality. He was a part of the most elite squad of the Mist Village, known as the Seven Swordsmen of the Mist. He was tasked with some of the most important and critical missions of the village, as he was under direct order from the highest ranking officials in the village. But he would soon come to understand that these officials didn't practice any of the morals or ideas that they preached, and only saw him as a tool that could be disposed of. He then defected from the village and would join the Akatsuki. His whole story represents the inequality of soldiers that are being used by a government to just achieve more power but not actually caring about any of their people. Then there's Zetsu, who represents lineage, more specifically Black Zetsu, whose whole goal throughout the series is just to bring back Kaguya, who is the beginning of the first great ancestry in Naruto, and is the starting point for all of the strongest clans in the series, therefore seeing herself as the rightful ruler of this world. Back in the Middle Ages, these types of wars involving lineage were very common, as some rulers saw their bloodline as handpicked from God to rule a nation. So yeah, the comparison being drawn is pretty clear. Next is Payne and Conan, who represent peace. They grew up as orphans due to war when they were children, and even lost their best friend Yahiko due to a conflict with a tyrannical ruler. As they got older, they would see that the only way to uphold peace would be through fear, and this is a very common occurrence in the real world, where groups of people will rise up and go to war for the sole purpose of ending said war. And finally, we come to Obedo and Madura, who represent idealism and imperialism. Their plan was also to create true peace by forcing people to live out the rest of their life in a dream state where everything would be perfect in their own world, but in the process robbing them of their own freedom. They use their power to end this generational trauma by force. They force their beliefs on others even though there are other options for peace. This happens in the real world a lot, where a bigger nation will force their ideals on smaller, less developed nations in an attempt to quote-unquote save them. But in the process, they strip them of their own ideals and identity and take their freedom away. But yeah, that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Please let me know if you want to see more Naruto theory type videos in the future, and if you enjoyed this one, make sure to hit that like button. If you didn't, then let me know why in the comments. Make sure to check out some of the other videos on the channel and consider subscribing. If you think your friends would like this type of content, then make sure to share the video. And with that, Trippy out. Peace!